To episode 441 of the Steel Cage Podcast. My name is Derek Montia, occasionally known as America's Moist Wanted. Joining me today is a couple of my best friends in the world. But first, if we release him from this podcast, he'll probably just end up fighting Kenny Omega next week for the strap. Coming to us from Charlotte's bosom, it's the Neo X.
Órale, vato loco forever. It's a nice place. Come hang out, bro.
I'm gonna allow you to make that voice and do that, and just move on. Hailing from Cloud 12, he will be a tag team with you, but you have to let him chug 100 milligrams of THC first and get some sweet matching snakeskin Speedos. It's Uncle Beek.
Ooh, showing off the package.
Yeah.
Ladies and germs, welcome to the show. Welcome to the party.
It is a party indeed. Thank you guys so much.
I was going to do a Mexican accent too, but that might get us in trouble.
Well, it's also Cinco de Mayo, so
it's Cinco de Mayo. I have a weird margarita mixed with Bang.
Oh, I like to call it May the Fifth Element, everybody.
There it
is.
Multipass.
Oh.
Multipass.
I'm conflicted.
Lilo Dallas,
like
it's my wife. We're in love. You know how it is. We see each other. Sparks are flying. She knows it's a multi-pass. Anyway, we're in love.
Great flick.
That is my favorite movie in the world.
Really is.
I could
tell. Really is.
Yeah,
really
it's
awesome.
One of mine.
That was like a deep cut quote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a good quote. You've watched more of that than you have of Raw accumulated. I feel like
at this point. Yes.
Well, we have a lot of big stories to talk about, including the gigantic free agent on the wrestling market.
Hey,
but first, speaking of Raw being bad, I wanted to talk a bit about Dave Lagreca's rant about Raw.
Now, let me ask you a question, Derek. Are we allowed to play this audio? We've got in trouble with other stuff, but can we play this audio?
I think we can play this audio.
Let's see this
audio. I think Neil, can you cue that up for us?
Yeah, let me pull it up. Go ahead and give us a breakdown, though.
Basically, what this is this. There's if you've ever listened to Busted Open, Lagreca is famous for giving his rants about Raw as of late. Rightfully so. It's something we used to do on this show quite a bit when every single one of us was forced to watch every single episode of Raw for quite a while there. It's hard to put into words, as Beek and I were discussing before we started recording the show. We don't know why we watch this show. There's other shows, other sports, other things that if I had the disinterest in them and I felt like they were as bad as I've felt Raw has been for as long as it's been, I would have definitely stopped watching it.
And I have a list of programs. I have a list that I'm keeping of things I want to watch. But no, I spend so much of my time watching wrestling and specifically WWE programming. I'll never get to that crap. And I don't know if I'm actually entertained by this shit. I guess I am.
Don't even get me started on, I could just go off on the Netflix shows alone I haven't watched that I still want to watch and I have full access to at any time. But yes, this is the rant from Dave Lagreca that Neo is pulling up here. So
all right, here we go. Ready? 3, 2.
Enough with the happy horse. We threw out the positives in the first hour show. What the kind of shit mess do they put on the fucking TV every week that I gotta fucking sit and watch? I mean, for sake, man.
Preach it, Dave. Preach it.
My God.
Amazing.
Dear Lord. I mean, it's the worst fucking show. I mean, come on now. I mean, I don't get MLW is better, AWA is better, Ring of Honor is better, SmackDown is better.
Wait, Dave.
AEW is better. This used to be a great show. I used to look forward to watching Raw. Now it's like, honey, it's 8:00. Aren't you supposed to be watching Raw? I'm like, it's 8.
Gabby and Ed, you got to give me a little credit where credit's due. I was able to hold him off of this for a full hour.
It was an admirable feat, I must say. I'm impressed that it happened.
It gets better.
And the
I
fact
just
that we
have to
made
say
it
that.
to the second hour before
I love this so
happened
far
is
because I have the
Christ,
same
Wait,
feeling.
here you go.
God,
Here you
like,
go.
I mean,
Dave, come on. What was wrong with the show?
You need a bigger
was
boat.
wrong with
Shut
the
the f up.
Dave?
Shut up.
I like
You know
how-
nothing about wrestling. Shut your fucking mouth. Just shut it. Shut your mouth. That's what we need to do. We need to put Rhea Ripley with Nia Jax and Shayna Bazler because it's not good enough to ruin Shayna Bazler. Oh, no. Let's get the Raw Women's Champion and get her. And then, they all slip and slide. Oh, this is fun. It's a slip and slide. Summer's coming. Let's slip onto a woohoo. And then Rhea Ripley's in the ring just watching Nia Jax go, woo, this is fun. I hope everybody watching this is having fun, too. Aren't we having fun? Because the job of the WWE is to put smiles on people's faces. Don't you know it can do Nia? Look at Nia. She fell. Oh, she got up and she fell again. Nia fell again. Bunch of fucking idiots. You're all idiots. Jeez Louise. God.
It's so good.
Jeez, what the am I doing with my life? I went to college, I mean, with Raw on Monday night, my wife is like, it's 8 o'clock, and I'm like, oh, God, I got to look at the color red for 3 hours.
You could cut it right there. That's it.
It is
What
like
am
you're
I
punching
doing?
yourself in the dick on a weekly basis.
Oh, man.
That's
It's
going to
like
be the title of this episode. Punching your dick on a weekly basis.
Meanwhile, we have Ricochet tweeting about retweeting somebody's tweet about how they got Hulu just so that they could watch main events and see a match between Ricochet and Ali. And all any of us could think was like, that's where you can see Ricochet and Ali? Are you kidding me?
So
that
bad.
actually sounds like a kind of fire match.
It
Why
is.
is that on main event and not
It
on
is.
Raw? Like, what a weird decision.
It's weird. They used to hide a lot of fucking fire matches on main event. Like they put some good shit on main event for quite a while. The main event of main event, quite a bit of times, was a great match.
Well, and in some cases, it was basically kind of like a televised
As far
dark
as
match
the
that they
matchup
were
is
working out.
concerned.
Yeah. And the way that they're rectifying this on Raw, guys, is by bringing Eva Marie back.
Okay, I can see why people are upset about this.
Okay.
We did fire quite a few talented professional wrestlers to bring in this woman, but I think it's really just a cue up for Parker Bordeaux. Like they're paired, aren't they? Like,
Yeah, but I mean, my thing is, why are you going to get rid of these, wrestlers, former tag champions, and come up with some sort of evolution, and
Samoa Joe.
not just integrate some of these women maybe into this storyline? Why not?
that is the correct question, but the answer is they're not worried about Samoa Joe. They're trying to make the next guy that they can back that they made. So they see this Parker Bordeaux kid as money, tie her with Eva Marie, who people hate. They're gonna hate the kid. I see why they think there's money in it, but yeah, it's total disrespect to some really talented people.
I just think it's disrespectful for a company in general that once again is, having enormous profits quarterly to, be bringing on new talent and to be firing talent that seemingly had a lot of value. They
deserve their job.
It obviously there's a lot that we don't know, and there's probably a lot maybe we'll never know.
But do you think you're really gonna, if you're her, like people are mad at her, like she was like, yes, we like to bring you back, Eva Marie. No, I don't think fans are gonna appreciate this. I'm gonna pass on this career opportunity.
Right? No,
I don't want to upset anybody. These wrestling fans, they might send some mean tweets at me.
Let me tell you something. When you're a person that people already hate, and you're gonna come into a pro wrestling show as a villain, that's like. They're secretly going backstage. Oh yeah, this is gonna be great. Like they can't wait for that. It's a great way to turn the already negativity towards you into something kind of good that works. Yeah.
Not that I'm saying she's gonna bring in a bunch of dollars. I'm not saying Eva Marie's
she's gonna bring money into herself is what she's gonna do. And I mean, come on, like you said, She's not going to turn that down. I don't blame Eva Marie. I just want to see what she's going to do. I felt like the last time that she was here, it was like during a time where they were growing out of the phase of just having women around that were attractive. You know,
she was just there to be attractive.
That's what it seemed like, I
mean, I think they wanted a trainer, but she didn't seem to have necessarily an aptitude right away, or that's what it seemed like. I'm not a professional wrestler. I don't know for sure.
I don't know either, but for me personally, she grew on me watching her on Celebrity Big Brother. And one of my favorite moments in the history of that show is when Tom Green future endeavored her at the end of the show. Now, Tom Green had made references during the season that he was a wrestling fan, but he never really said much that made me go, oh man, Tom Green really knows his shit, until Tom Green future endeavored Eva Marie on live television. Nonetheless, that was the moment I was like, that guy is a real wrestling fan to his core, because to future endeavor someone like that, that's a deep cut.
Yeah.
You're not looking that up on the internet when you're stuck in the Big Brother house either. That's the other thing.
That reference is beyond the medulla oblongata. Like, it's way back there.
Right.
They say it in other companies. They say it in other companies, but no,
he knew what he was doing. He knew exactly.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, he definitely knew what he was doing. Like, somebody can misunderstand it and be like, okay, that was kind of weird, but definitely a wrestling reference right there.
Right.
I've done it on cards at work when people are leaving. Like when people are saying goodbye to everybody. Like,
oh, yeah.
It's their last day. I'm like, hey, this is Jeremy. It's been fun working with you. Best of luck on your future endeavors. I hope a wrestling fan sees it as a
yes. Hey, that's a good one.
Yeah. I think if you really want
down the road, like someone's keeping those cards. Get out of here, Beek.
No, I mean, if they're passing around as everyone signs it, you know what I mean?
I get what you, okay, yeah. You're like someone else in the office.
Yeah, the whole office, like, who did, Jeremy, you mother.
Well, if you really want to put some sting behind that, I would add the word pal at the end. Then that'll drive
there anyway, so might as well.
All right, so I don't want to just talk about the bad of Raw. I did want to talk about a couple of things I find to be entertaining myself.
Charlotte, I would love to know that.
Yeah, bring it.
I like Charlotte. I think Charlotte's kind of the star of the show in a way. I think they've based a lot of things around her. Like when you talk about a major storyline that's involving like the upper management and everything like that, she's kind of rebellious. There's this weird aura around her with what happened with Andrade, that it was like she was going to leave and now she's back like with a vengeance, with this hellfire with her. It's just kind of cool to see. And I feel like of the things on Raw, if like I focus on her kind of being the main star of Raw right now. And
I can see that.
That kind of tracks. It tracks a bit. Raw just gets it gets really stale, and they open the show with the same shit every time, and they close it with the same stuff. There's just not a lot of thought, I feel like, that goes into it. I feel like it's still just constantly going through the motions,
you
just
think they planned to actually have Charlotte suspended and decided to, oh wait, what are we doing? Like, she's the main focal point of the show,
right?
No,
and then immediately, or do you think that was initially the plan to, like, we need to get the Sonya Deville character over as an aggressive authority figure, so let's do this whole storyline?
I don't know what they're doing, but I feel like they're creating dissension between her and Adam Pearce. And then
I meant more like, do you think their plan was to have Charlotte suspended for a week?
Yeah,
literally a week. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was, because they had this ridiculous $100,000 that she was fined and all this stuff. I think that I do too. I was just like, that's a bit much. Come on,
kayfabe
like,
fines are always great. They make $1,000.
Make it $1 million right now. But like, I feel like what the point of this is to split up Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce and maybe have them each manage their own show, because right now.
Wasn't that what they were already doing? Wasn't she managing SmackDown?
No. But what I'm trying to find out is
co-managing both shows together.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to find out is, when did she become the quote unquote authority figure or manager of the show?
It was a while back. They just randomly brought her. She had been fired.
It was
and they
randomly. Like, she was just hanging out with that bald guy, and all of a sudden she's like, I don't know.
How do you go from getting let go to becoming?
But if there was like a segment that says, "Hey, I'm going to start delegating this work to you," or "Hey, I got this letter from VKM to help you out. But
like
there was
getting
nothing.
fired and then
No.
threatening to
They
take
had-
your job back.
They had a specific night where she returned, and she returned because she was rehired back, and like they didn't just like, oh, she wasn't just there. Like they had a
They made a point
storyline,
of her.
kayfabe
They
reason.
did?
Right? Yeah.
I must have
Because she
blinked
got-
and missed it because
Yeah.
I was trying to find it and I just
Well, it ends up being like a 2-minute segment on 2 weeks of WWE program, which is more than five hours.
it's literally a
of
needle in a
Exactly.
haystack then.
yeah.
It was long before WrestleMania, so it was just one of those things that
But it
they
still
brought
is
her in.
ridiculous. She's like, let go, and then they're like, you know what?
Come back.
Promoted.
Well, like she lost the match, and the stipulation of the match was she had to leave WWE, much like what happened with Daniel Bryan at the end of SmackDown this week, right?
Oh,
So you
segue
just
king.
don't know. Well, I'm just saying you don't know
Spicy.
when it's going to be kayfabe. You don't know when it's not. But
Sure.
I do. Before we move on to SmackDown, I did want to talk about one more ridiculous ass thing on Raw that I just can't believe is a thing, and I can't believe how much I like it. But it's RK Bro. The tag team consisting of Matt Riddle and Randy Orton. I find them to be delightful. I find it to be this weird combination that I would have never thought would have worked. I feel like it's inevitably leading, to a rivalry between the two of them. Obviously, I
That's
think
without a doubt.
that they're going right. But for the time being, it's rather adorable, right? Like Randy Orton is literally like, I don't like you. I want to fight you. You beat me, and now I oddly respect you, and you keep talking about wanting to be tag team with me, so let's go try it out. And then
I hope it only happens
That's
for like
the
a
thing.
couple weeks, and then Ed shows up like, Randy, what the hell are you doing? Look at this clown. Have you not read the internet?
I mean, it's
You think you know him? You think you know him?
all of that stuff aside. I just find it to be really
no,
funny.
it definitely,
and,
yeah, it's amusing.
and I will say that Riddle has played his, he once again plays this cartoonish kid character, but he's kind of toned it down just a little bit with Randy because of Randy being Randy. But it's really been Orton that I feel like has been really good in this thing. Like,
I think he's on
just-
the reefer, by the way.
Oh, you think? You think
Yeah.
maybe he's taking him to Cloud 12 with him?
They talked about that. Do you hear fucking Corey Graves this week, or was it last week? One of the two. He goes, yeah, he's going to teach him the couch lock. It's a submission move. Like Corey, okay, that is a clever pothead joke for wrestling. I'll give
That's
it to
a
you.
good one. That's a good one. I like it. But yeah, I don't know, man. It just kind of works for me. I don't have an explanation on it other than that. I think that it's, again, Raw doesn't have much going for it. So by comparison,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with The Fiend because he hasn't been back, and they have once again transferred all of his powers and responsibilities to Alexa, who has who wants everybody to have a Lily. And I have a Lily, and my Lily loves being part of WWE programming because Alexa Bliss, who's her favorite wrestler, says her name 50 times a night.
Yes.
Shut up, Alexa. But yeah, that's what we got going on.
Do you see that they had the Lily doll backstage in one of the segments, like way back? Like Alexa wasn't in the
like an
scene at
Easter
all,
egg.
but she was super way back in there. I appreciate that children like it. I still fucking hate it. And I love there was a huge debate on Twitter recently about people saying, well, if you hate it, it's because you don't appreciate character development, which is nonsense. I've been watching narrative programming for my entire life, and this is not Breaking Bad. This is professional wrestling. This is a horror movie come to life. It's not. I feel like people who don't like it are being insulted by saying, "Well, you just don't get it."
Well, Derek, I was gonna say to that other point and to Jeremy's point, what I was gonna mention is if someone's gonna come to you with that type of nonsense, just show them your thesis on Papa Shango, and you can just shut them.
See that shit. Do you see what Papa Shango did? He became the good father.
Don't even get me started on Papa Shango. I love Papa Shango, and it makes me so sad to know that he did not want to play Papa Shango because it made him just like mean and dark and brooding all the time.
He
Well,
was
that's
living
what
the
was
gimmick.
he was always that, like the soul taker gimmick he had before that was kind of brilliant. Like, I want to do something different, maybe. But
Yeah.
Papa Shango, how fucking iconic! Thank you, Charles Wright, for doing Papa Shango. We all appreciate it.
I overpaid for an autographed picture of him.
I have a Papa Shango tank top that I wear every summer. If you've seen me on a PWG show, chances are I'm wearing that motherfucker.
You've seen him win that Papa Shango tank top. But yeah, we had lots of WWE programming. I don't want to get stuck on how terrible Raw was, but I think Lagreca's rant summed it up pretty much the way we feel. I don't feel that way about any other show that I watch. I don't feel that way. I have criticisms, I have criticisms about AEW and NXT and SmackDown. Sometimes I've really enjoyed it, and the criticisms I hear about it, I feel are unfounded and petty, yet then I still have my own. I don't feel that way about Raw. I feel like everything he said, I feel like I hate myself when I watch it. I feel like I hate when I have to sit down and watch it.
I felt like, I'm just watching this show I watch, and now I'm like, I'm punching myself in the dick every week. What the fuck am I doing over here? I'm still gonna watch next week, by the way, guys.
Yeah, me too.
Fucking here it comes.
I'm a big advocate of
that was punching dick, not the other thing.
There it is. See, I'm a big advocate of just watching what you like, and that's why sometimes it can be a little difficult to do a show when you don't watch Raw. But I'll say this. I can always appreciate the good things, and that's why when you brought up Charlotte, like Karening her way into the picture, like I get that, and that was kind of the best thing that happened on Raw. But what makes me mad is like, yeah, you have Ricochet and Gulak tearing down the house on 205 Live, and then you have Mansoor, who is on a 57 win streak, get demolished by what's his name, Sheamus. Mm-hmm. And then you had Jinder Mahal reveal himself on main event. It's like, come on, like put that on the main show.
Yeah, Jinder showed up with the tag team that
on main event.
Big tall Indian guys. I think they're Indian. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Are they like twins or something? I think they've been on the roster.
I don't know if they're twins or they're just two gigantic guys who look similar.
It's the Bollywood boys, but just like
they got super young, gamma radiated Bollywood boys. Gurv and Harv and Gurv are fucking huge now.
What's the what's the term for that? Is like something unit or like big unit or something like that?
That's Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there is a new meme that I know you're talking about. That's like, I forget, a complete unit or some shit.
Some sort of unit.
Yeah.
That means you're jacked to the tits.
He's totally jacked to the motherfucking gills.
Well, that's interesting and
right?
Not surprising at all.
Right.
Meanwhile, SmackDown has Aleister Black back, and he has been cutting some weird folktale dark ass shit promos that I like. We're wearing some great glasses and just looking weird and evil himself. I have always loved Aleister Black. I thought that they totally dropped the ball on him the entire time he's been on the main roster. So this reinvention of himself is, I think, exactly what he needed to get out of the like gimmicky rising up platform thing that they didn't even do a good job of doing on the main roster when he was there.
I thought that was cool.
That's the thing. They did it really well in NXT. Way, it's
absolute unit. Absolute.
There it is. Absolute unit.
We're so hip and cool on this podcast that we have to like look up this slang. So
we're not that word that you told us.
We're
earlier.
chuggy, bro. We're chuggy as fuck.
We're not chuggy.
No, we're not. We're not chuggy. Stop it.
Okay.
We're big sweats on this podcast.
Oh, is that a new one?
Sweats? What does that mean?
That means we try hard on our podcast.
Oh shit, big sweats.
Yeah. I big sweats too hard.
Because E40 invented like all the slang. Which one did he come up with that one?
I'm sure he did.
But Aleister Black, just good to see him again getting that chance. We've talked in the past. We expected him to be released when they were doing those releases. We expected it prior to that. So
turned out that we were all wrong, and they're investing some serious time in this guy potentially.
I think
potentially.
It's a brilliant move. I've always thought he was one of the most unique wrestlers I've ever seen. Dating back to the Tommy End days, like this dude just came in like he's a fucking death metal rock star.
He's like a kickboxer. Like they've like
I mean,
who does that?
you just weren't expecting that out of him when he looks the way he does, you know, and it was just a really cool combination of things. His, you know, his just athleticism is impressive, and he's always been that way. The minute you saw him, the first time I saw him wrestle in PWG, I was just blown away by everything about him. You know,
For sure.
I think that they really would have dropped ball on him. The problem is that the alternative, let's just say, playing devil's advocate, is that he goes to AEW and kind of gets put in the mix there. Let's just say there's a lot of talent going on there. Like AEW can't keep taking on these guys. You know, I think another big story of this week, speaking of that, was Andrade, you know, showing back up in AAA and challenging Kenny Omega for the AAA heavyweight championship.
Or Cody, actually, when Samoa Joe was released, Cody made mention about we can't take on everybody. Like Samoa Joe is a great talent, but we literally can't take on everybody.
Yeah. That's right now, and right now they are kind of, and it reminds me a little bit of when WWE was doing this to steal them away from the indies and get them away from this kind of snowballing promotion that was eventually known as AEW.
Yeah, when I saw Cody say that, the first thing in my head was Ron Howard saying, Samoa Joe later signs with AEW.
Yeah. Well, you got to sift through some of the talent they had. Like, there's guys that they brought on from WWE that didn't last very long, like Zack Ryder. You know, things that didn't seem to work out.
Yeah.
Rusev, meanwhile, seems to finally be getting a singles push. They got him away from Kip Sabian, and you know, I think they're going to do big things with him. I think he's going to be the one that beats Darby. It just feels right. I mean, he feels indestructible right now, and I think that, you know, he could catch Darby on the right night and be that cat.
Can he be the face of AEW TNT Dynamite?
Yes. Yeah,
yes, he can.
But it's kind of weird. We always wanted Rusev to kind of be the funny guy, and then when he was being that, you're like, yeah, I don't want this. I just want this on Instagram. It's like Big E, right? Big E was showing his you know, personality on Instagram and stuff long before he was doing it on WWE television. And we on the Steel Cage used to say all the time how we wanted to see this version of him. And then eventually that's exactly what we got. And everybody comes to just adore Big E for that personality. You know, that
I don't mind a funny Miro, but a funny Miro that's actually still an ass kicker. I don't want him the goofy video game playing with his buddies and being silly. Like, this version of Miro that we're seeing right now is what I felt should have been happening from the beginning, but you got to get there slow sometimes.
You know what I thought about with his gimmick being like that he hangs out with Kip and he's the best man and he's basically like a video game player because of his Twitch channel and everything, was that it's like, this is too much real life coming into your gimmick.
Yeah.
You know, like, come up with something different. I get it. You play video games and stuff, but this is I don't want this much. This is not something
that's like if AJ Styles was coming out playing video games every week.
It can go two ways. Like, I think if you really lean into it, it could work. Like if he was positioned to be like, hey Miro, you're up today, and he's playing backstage, he'd be like, I gotta go wrestle.
Yeah.
Drops his controller, beats the shit out of somebody. The camera follows him back to the dressing room, and he picks up the sticks and plays. Like, if he did stuff like that, like really leaned into the gamer gimmick, I think it could be entertaining, right? Yeah. You know,
that's not bad. That's not bad, but it's not that.
I think the Kip Sabian was the part that I didn't care for.
The Kip Sabian part was also the part I did not care for.
Like an albatross around his neck.
He really made it. He really made it his own though when the actual wedding thing happened, because he was also really leaning into it, talking about how, like, yeah, I've been in these before. You never turn your back on this, or you never, you know, whatever on that. So I like that. Like, I really like it if he's gonna lean into it all the way.
He did have an opportunity to show how entertaining he can be outside of just being goofy Rusev who says things that are funny. He was just being funny.
And I think you're right. I think he's capable of finding a middle ground where he's still this aggressive monster, but then can be witty and a little funny at times. I think that he's fully capable of that. It has to be the right thing. And I think, you know, one thing that we're seeing a lot of is a lot of factions. On NXT, we saw an amazing match yet again between Swerve and Leon Ruff.
Oh my God. That guy, Leon, he can bump his fucking ass off.
Swerve too.
He's like a Ricky Morton style babyface, just taking the huge ass beating, but still tough as nails.
Here's the thing: is I just can't believe some of the shit that Swerve does to him with good conscience.
He did that.
He like, how do you like go backstage and shake hands with that dude after you did some of the shit to him out on camera at the ring? Like, he destroys that guy. And then when we hung out with him in Florida, and we made jokes about him fucking Leon Ruff up, he stayed in character the whole time and was like, he fucking deserved it. He fucking doesn't deserve to come in here and fucking take my spot and shit. And like, it was hilarious. And we all had a good laugh about it. But it reminds me a lot of being present for his Hell of War match in Lucha Underground.
Mm-hmm.
That shit just kept getting more and more violent, to the point where you're like, those of us that were there was times where there was no cheering going on. There was just audible gasps and people begging for them to stop. It was one of the weirdest things I've ever been a part of in my life, because, you know, if you watch that match, they brought out giant panes of glass and were like putting each other through them, but then they wrestled in the broken glass in the ring, him and Dante Fox, aka AR Fox.
It was so bad.
It was heart-wrenching to be there present for, but then we like talked to him afterwards, you know, and he had like glass still in his back and shit. Like, it was just fucking wild to me. And that's what this rivalry has kind of reminded me of, with how violent it's been and how the violence has continued to escalate between these two. But now we see that Swerve has a new faction, Swerve's House.
They should call them the Kill Shot.
House. Hey,
the Kill Shots?
Swerve and
the Kill Shots.
The Kill Shot, the whole group. Nod to the past.
There's a lot of factions going on in professional wrestling.
I love factions, though. Bring them on.
NXT's starting to roll with theirs. You got The Way, which The Way was really dumb to me at first, but they grew on me substantially. And
it's Gargano. Gargano, he is fun to watch, but then like Austin Theory is like dumb to watch.
He's so the big dumb muscle head that's very amusing.
I have to give him credit, because he didn't have any character before. Like, he's just kind of jerk, you know, heel, I'm really good kind of guy. Yep. And he's become pretty enjoyable to watch, you know, in that role. More importantly, Indy steals the show. Indy has been incredible with her.
You talk too much. So dumb.
Oh man, Indy's great. Congrats to them, by the way. Indy and Candice won the women's tag championships this week.
I was really hoping for
Candice not having a totally problematic tag team partner.
Yeah.
Bless up the Candice.
Bless up.
If you don't know what that is, use your Googles, guys.
Or listen to the beginning of the show before we started recording.
Hey, but I was really hoping for a spiked shoe, maybe a la mode to the Young Bucks. I was hoping for one of those, man, but we didn't get it after all.
That's her truly turning to the dark side and becoming the evil Candice, and
I want to
be complete.
Put my fantasy booker fedora on for a second. My dog is getting mad over there. Sorry, I apologize. Bronx, right. Stop it. So with Swerve's group, if you notice, there is 3 men and a female. Similar, actually, I'm totally wrong. I was totally gonna think of a good.
There is 3 men and a female.
I know, but I was gonna pair them up against the fucking Way, not thinking about Indy Hartwell and both Candice. I thought it would have been a way to eventually turn them babyface.
Candice counts as a man. Candice can fight men. She counts as a man.
Okay, cool. Then it goes to so yeah, this is the group that eventually will turn the Way babyface. Thanks, Derek. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick,
I'm on board with that.
It says here on the internet that WWE recently filed to trademark the Top Dollar nickname.
No.
Yeah, that's supposed to be is his name Antonio McDaniel? Is that what The guy used to be a Seahawk, I think. Yeah, I think that's
he
gonna be
goes
his
by.
name.
No, it's Francis. Something.
Oh
Francis.
yeah, Antonio Francis. That's right.
Antonio Francis.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, but he has that name, but they might be doing a spin on it apparently.
There was also they trademarked the Diamond Mine, but I think that's a different stable.
It's a different thing.
Yeah. But yeah, man.
By the way, this is the this is the thing that I was talking about earlier. You see that? That there made me cringe so much.
Yeah. That and then Swerve's flip or the Poison Rana backwards by Leon Ruff on Swerve outside of the ring.
Yeah. Here we go, real quick. Sorry. Boom, right here.
This guy.
Wow.
Oh,
that guy.
Jeez.
That's one of those things where back in the day,
murder.
you'd be like, WWE wouldn't even allow people to do that. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's not like, wow.
So,
huge.
But yeah,
vertical suplex.
There's a growing faction going on. I mean, I think so far with WWE, as opposed to AEW, the one thing that has worked is their limited number of factions makes them still feel relevant. But
a lot of people on TV at one time.
The difference with AEW has been the criticism has been their number of factions and how pretty much everybody in the promotion seems to be grouped up in some sort of pairing or group.
Dude,
yeah, like one of the storylines is Jade Cargill gonna get a new manager, which means essentially is she gonna be in one of these stupid factions?
Yeah.
And I say stupid in the broad sense. I don't think they're actually stupid.
No, I'm with you 100%. I think we've all grown up on 90s wrestling where factions were kind of the shit. And
factions.
think there were dumb factions. There were some factions that were amazing. There was always going to be the comparison to the NWO with everything anybody's doing. You know, I've seen people compare it,
or the Four Horsemen before that. The Four Horsemen was the original, and then the NWO came around like it was kind of like the Four Horsemen, and then
it was Los Boricuas.
Yeah.
Hey,
I thought they were cool, man.
Who are you gonna say? I'm fucking look at this tattoo is literally from fucking one of their chests.
Like such a huge Savio Vega mark. I'm like,
love Savio Vega.
Savio, sweet.
Hey, I drew this goddamn tattoo on a notebook when I was in high school, and then I had it tattooed on me, and I had no idea that I stole it off of Savio Vega's chest. Until I saw a picture of Savio Vega one time, and I was like,
great.
"Hey, wait, that's my tattoo."
Hey, Beaky baby,
what's that, buddy?
You should politic your way with your homie to get a Savio Vega all over print screen shirt.
Oh shit, he
That'd
probably would. He would be all about that.
You'll get me to spend my money.
I'm in there. Hang on.
All right. Spend $70 on that, bro.
All right. Well, I got to ask you guys this. So, let's fantasy book some factions in WWE. Considering that there's some guys kind of around. I wanted to start because I feel like this one's kind of actually a possibility. And that is Shelton Benjamin joining Chad Gable and Otis as part of American Alpha.
You got my interest piqued.
Heyo.
And then also adding Drew Gulak to that and just making it a real shooter's freaking,
catch point type of situation.
Yeah.
So,
right?
Does that mean like Otis is going to be doing catch can wrestling?
Yes. That's what I want.
No more Caterpillar, just a bunch of Yave style wrestling.
I think what that leads to is Otis eventually breaking out and going back to being babyface and getting away from the group.
Can we see Otis do like a gory special or something?
I've been really impressed with Otis, by the way.
He's got lucha moves
with Gable. Otis and Gable have been great together, and I credit Otis a lot. I didn't think that this was going to last, and I didn't think Otis was going to like turn mean. And he went full on with it. And
yeah, he really leaned into it.
I applaud his ability to do it. I didn't think he could. He's a very lovable guy. It seemed like it was going to be very hard to turn him heel, and they have. So I don't know where it's leading, but that would be my faction.
All right, I thought I had one. So Australian wrestling is crazy hot, and there's all kinds of talented wrestlers coming out of there. But I'd love to see a faction: Bronson Reed, Shane Thorne, the former Slapjack. Slapjack, who actually got himself over with the wrestling talent. People actually were interested. Out of anybody in that group, they liked Slapjack initially. So him, and then Brendan Vink, who was formerly Elliot Sexton in Progress Wrestling, the big, tall Australian guy that came out with Shane Thorne for a while. If you guys will probably remember him, MVP initially offered them a gig before he started the Hurt Business. So both really talented guys. And yeah, all three together, I think bringing Indy Hartwell, get away from the way, have that Australian faction. Shoot.
Well, what would it be called? Like Team Boomerang or?
Oh my God, you're a racist.
Team Boomerang.
You're a
Team
racist.
Boomerang.
Hey, I know
He
a
didn't
Captain
say-
Boomerang.
he didn't say-
The mad cunts. The mad
He
cunts.
didn't say Captain Kangaroo and the Koala Kids. He didn't say anything like that.
Dingo babies.
Oh, actually, yeah, the Dingo Warriors.
The Dingo Warriors.
That's a nod to one douchebag.
Yeah, and the Viking.
But yeah,
Raiders.
they'd be great.
Speaking of the Viking Raiders, I'd put them with Drew Gulak. I still want to see that. And God damn
Really?
it, bring
Put
Undertaker
him in
back.
singlets. The Viking-
Yeah.
What's Neo's faction idea?
Go Neo.
Right now, since there's like no Latinx representation on Raw, like I would just get all like the Latin guys together. Like it's super prominent in NXT, which is great because they have Santos Rodriguez and I think the other guy.
Legado del Fantasma.
Humberto?
Yeah, but yeah, so they have them, and then Raquel, obviously, is the women's champion. So that's why I'm watching NXT. But if you want to get Raw back on my radar, give me like Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, Humberto Carrillo, even
Batalik.
Lucha House Party, and just do
Yeah.
another LWO, whatever. Like just resurrect the old thing. I don't care. Like that's how little effort you would need to just get my attention at this point.
Have them
Would
bust
you-
out the 4 Post of Doom from WCW. The fucking Ready to Rumble. They're all in the 4 posts. Luchadors. That's it.
Sure.
Money.
Would you want to see that faction go in like a Nation of Domination style way where they get kind of
They could
political
be-
with it?
well,
and
well,
They'd be
use-
deemed as a cartel because that's how people would automatically say, oh, what's this cartel bullshit?
Well, and that's what they were
Right,
doing
and-
with Legado de Fantasma's group.
Yeah.
Because they would be kidnapping people. But no, like just resurrect the LWO. Like I don't care because I think Mysterio was once in it anyway, right? And
I mean the Latin wrestlers talking about being held down, and like that's their motivation for banding
absolutely.
together as a group.
because
and that,
when
They can
Andrade
even bring up
blasted it
that-
on Twitter, I was like, "Fuck yeah, hermano!" Like I can see it because when someone brought it up, I was like, "Yeah." There is like Humberto Carrillo's getting bro kicked by Sheamus every night, and it's asinine to me.
They can even bring up how WWE constantly starts and stops with their attempts at getting a Mexican wrestler or a Latin wrestler over. Like they desperately want this to happen, but they don't know how to do it. Like they wanted to get a second Rey Mysterio while they still have Rey Mysterio in their fucking.
they wanted a
camp.
backup. They wanted
Yeah.
sometimes you like a shirt a lot, so you buy another one. So when that
Sure,
one fades,
I hear that,
you have
I hear
it
that.
ready to go. You want it there. You don't know if it's gonna sell out or whatever.
They literally did that
Uh,
once with Sin Cara.
Yeah, they did. Andrade was one of their hottest, Latino pro wrestlers that
Indeed.
they've ever had. And he got to, heights that few others have, and yet here we are talking about him wrestling for other promotions and no longer wrestling for WWE. So I don't know what they're thinking. It's so weird when they fucking back their way by accident into their success with Ray and Eddie and didn't know that there was even this huge Latin culture that watched pro wrestling, which is just shows how short-sighted they are. It shows how small their world is to them, even
Yeah.
though they run this gigantic company. I can't explain it, and I don't like what they did, but we are where we're at, and I would love to see that. By the way,
We are where
that's
we're at.
probably my favorite idea. So anyway, that's kind of all I have from NXT. Did you guys have anything else from NXT?
Other than we have new Raw Women's Champions, Leon Ruff getting the
Tag-
dog
tag
shit beat
team.
out of him. Yeah, new Raw Tag Team Champions. Thanks.
No,
BTW.
NXT. We're talking about NXT.
NXT. You keep saying Raw.
Oh, I am I?
Yeah.
You are.
And,
Yeah,
and
look
I'm
at-
the
you
one
don't
that's been
even- look at-
drinking.
Yeah. Slamming
This
THC.
guy.
But let's talk about the big story, which is Daniel Bryan being gone from the WWE.
Who?
Bryan Danielson.
Hey,
The American
resurrected.
The American
He's back
Dragon.
from Tijuana.
Yes.
He was hanging out with El Generico.
He
No
was
more.
helping El Generico with the orphans, and he is back after what I thought was a really successful big fight feel.
Is he officially gone? Like, I know
Well,
the contract's over.
The contract's expired, and
They moved him to the alumni section.
Yeah, but that could be working our nuts off, dude. You
They're
know.
working our nuts off right now.
My nuts.
I think they are. I think they're working our nuts off.
First they worked my dick, then they worked my nuts. These fucking guys, Derek.
We currently live in a world where CM Punk, Samoa Joe, and Daniel Bryan are all free agents right now.
They should start the new NWO, come back, fuck shit up.
Just
Your
go back to
tits.
ROH and just wreck shop.
Oh my god! Just shut up. Shut up.
And then
Both of
Homicide
you
joins them
stupid
too.
idiots.
And then
It's all
CD
former-
and Frankie
Just
Kazarian.
stop it.
They do another tag team match against the Briscoes.
My penis can only get so erect, you guys. These are all incredible ideas. But yeah, back to the big match against Roman Reigns. Roman, who has new music, by the way.
I heard the beginning of it and I clicked out.
I wish I
is
could
it
play.
horseshit or not?
Sent pro wrestling rappers scurrying to go make, rap versions of it, like Mega Ran.
Oh, I was gonna say, can you name any particular rappers, Derek?
Yeah, Mega Ran. Raheem Jarbo. Yeah, no, that was great to see the Roman's new music, but Roman beat Daniel Bryan.
The Romans.
Like I said, big fight feel to the night. Like it felt like Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, he really fought his ass off.
It felt like he was maybe going to do it. I thought that they gave it the right kind of mood. It seems sudden, especially with a pay-per-view so close. It felt like if they were doing this, that they could have done it at the pay-per-view.
I mean, WrestleMania's Backlash?
The WrestleMania Backlash of WrestleMania. How much do you hate that name? Do you hate the name a lot?
So much.
I fucking hate it.
I'm going to say
it's terrible.
I do not hate the name.
Why?
I don't know.
You know what? Never mind. I don't need to ask you. You can like it. I don't need to make you defend yourself. Defend yourself, Derek.
I don't have a defense. I don't have something where I'm like, I'm like, oh, hey, they finally made it. The show after WrestleMania sound like something that goes with WrestleMania.
Why don't they call it the first show, or what's the show before that? Fastlane? WrestleMania Fastlane. They should have called it that, motherfucker. All those three shows should be the WrestleMania band.
It should be like a WrestleMania clump.
The Fast Lane.
You can't explain why you're not excited
WrestleMania
about WrestleMania.
The Fast Lane
You
to
know what?
WrestleMania is what
You
they should have
improved
called
it. I can't deny it. You've made it better. You have.
Oh, what's Daniel Bryan going to do, you guys? What's he
He's going to
do?
go to New Japan. He's going to wrestle. He's going to group up with Yuji Nagata and Toby Makabe and Koji Kojima, and he's just going to wrestle with all the grandpas in New Japan, and he's just going to retire in Japan.
I hate the fact that you're so right. Like, that sounds like so what he's going to do.
Just give me
he's
that
going
all
to
day.
take Ricochet's place in New Japan. He's going to basically wrestle with all the same guys that Ricochet hung out with.
I'd love to see him just do what he wants for a while, wrestle who he wants, but the ideal situation for me, if we're going to fantasy book this man's life, is to have him settle down and run a school and run a promotion and just add to wrestling the way he wants.
Yeah. Shut up, you stupid idiot.
Nah,
Stop
man.
giving him the fucking super sweet happy ending. I don't want that shit.
That'd be tight as hell.
You know we all want to see him
it's
wrestle
like if,
until
Daniel
I said that.
himself to
I
the
said
end.
let him have the matches. Like goes to New Japan, him and Zack Sabre Jr. have an awesome match.
You know what
Then he goes
automatically
to
resonated?
Ring of Honor, wrestles a bunch of badasses in that pure. We got Daniel Bryan and Tony Deppen, baby. You never know.
I like that a lot. And then I could do a run in and pants Deppen in the middle of that match.
That seems rude, but I understand.
I owe him big. And that would be
what I equate
like
this
ruin
to?
the biggest match of his career. That would be the perfect revenge on Deppen.
Dirty bastard.
I equate this to like when if like Daniel Bryan was in the game Street Fighter, and then he finally beats like M. Bison, and once he defeats Evil, like he'll just do whatever he wants. He'll just go home and be a family man, and like grow hemp in his backyard
with his dog Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, and then he'll like wrestle wherever he wants on his corn oil powered Corolla or something.
But it's, it's just
smells like
sparring.
French
It's
fries.
just sparring and teaching is what it is. It's never actual fighting. He doesn't use his hands to harm any longer. I will say that if anybody Daniel
Hams
Bryan,
to harm.
Hams to harm. Hams.
He don't use his hams anymore.
Daniel Bryan is probably the only guy that could get away with wrestling like freelance in a way.
Like if he I like when you said ROH. If he goes to ROH and does pure. Oh, are you talking about contracts? I thought you were talking about styles.
I'm just saying, in general, I could see him being one of the rare cases that kind of doesn't get held down to a contract because he doesn't want to at this point. So he might fulfill all of his dreams.
He only has so many bumps left on his card, guys.
Right. And inevitably, anybody that's going to want him to be part of their roster is going to want to tie him down. Well, but I also think that people, there's some promotions, a lot of promotions that are willing to take a little bit of Daniel Bryan instead of none at all.
Let's break that down though, because
break it down.
Because for example,
Forbidden Door, open the Forbidden Door, Neo.
Well, I was gonna say because like Yuji Nagata is almost like he's in his 50s. Minoru Suzuki is also in his 50s. And then Kojima is still wrestling pretty old. I know he had surgery, but I think if he wrestles the right way, he could have a career if he really wanted to. And that's why when I made the joke of him wrestling with the grandpas, and it's primarily because I think he can do it if he wrestled smart way and like maybe big tags, if he really wanted to keep it going. But now that he's a family man, I think like he'll be an attraction. I think that's what Beek said. Like he's just going to be an attraction at this point. He'll be like a quote unquote CM Punk who actually wrestles.
Because easily, like say he, on the goofy idea I had, he was running his own promotion. He could just like have matches on that show that are dream matches that he wants to wrestle. They don't even necessarily have to be storyline matches. Like I'm just going to have a exhibition with such and such dude.
Yeah.
And then
that's what I mean.
Live his life, man.
Yeah.
And does he still live?
I think
did he and his wife relocate to California after all?
I'm not sure. I know they used to live here in Arcadia, but I know that at one point they were going to relocate to be closer to Nicole, right?
Because imagine that, like if you relocated to like Arizona or to California, think of all the matches he could have there, without having the.
Here's what I think is I think that there's a really good chance this whole thing is a work. I think that there's a lot of clues.
Like Spud McKenzie, like Rockstar Spud.
Maybe. I think we were just talking about Daria earlier, right? And I think that there were a lot of breadcrumbs he left. There was one point where he was talking about, I think in an interview with Ryan Satin, about the Forbidden Door.
Right.
And about opening it up and how WWE should, and how that would allow them to have this access to these matches and do some of these things that we've enjoyed other companies doing, right?
Yeah.
And more importantly, WWE is the one that put up the hidden door or the Forbidden Door and put a lock on it. They're the ones that created the Forbidden Door. Everybody else was
lock
just kind
and
of
chain.
Like, yeah, they were the ones that were sharing talent, and there was territories, and WWE fucked that whole game up,
But
so
do you remember there was this thing put out on Twitter that Triple H was open to the idea of working with other companies, but I always thought it was assumed that it's other companies that WWE has purchased or employed, like Evolve, right?
People think Triple H isn't plugged in. Let me tell you this. I know from a fact from a story I heard that Triple H texted directly about Jimmy Lloyd from GCW being in the crowd at WrestleMania. There wasn't like, oh, hey, there's some fan down there. Fucking Triple H knew exactly who Jimmy Lloyd was. He knows exactly who GCW is. He knows what every promotion he knows. He knows who fucking, he knows who I am. He knows who fucking in the fucking Impact Zone Wrestling. He knows Zealot. He knows Devin. He knows all of us. He knows everything. But he is, you know, it's one of those things that they're really plugged in. And that's why at times it feels odd that they make the decisions that they do to cut some talent, like the Iconics, you know, very, very valuable tag team. It seemed like they were funny. They were good heels. They were great on the mic. They were the kind of people
they were
that can
worth
give you,
watching.
They were worth watching. Absolutely. Like when you saw them on your screen, they were highly enjoyable.
They could easily have been the people they sent out to do media. Like if either of them were champion, that pair together doing media, crap, it's so entertaining. They could schmooze everybody.
Totally.
I mean, I understand Samoa Joe, but I also think, like, didn't Samoa Joe prove his value? Not only what he can do in the ring, but with
versatile with his commentary. Yeah,
right. Like he was great on the mic, and he was great in the ring, and he was
in the rain.
You know, but Daniel Bryan, I don't know. There was that, and then there was also the fact that beforehand he said in another interview about how he had like lost his passion for wrestling. Like he felt like he didn't want to do it anymore.
His smile.
He lost his smile. And you know, that's not, I don't know if that was real or if it's kayfabe. I feel like Daniel Bryan's a pretty honest person. So like I feel when he gives these interviews, I don't necessarily feel like he is working us. However, he's also smart enough to use any form of media to accomplish his goal, which is some sort of potentially, in this case, maybe some sort of swerve.
Well, Derek,
WWE.
When he was on this, he was on a couple of on this podcast where he name dropped Kenny Omega, right, and how his view of wrestling, how he respects it, and then he name dropped the Young Bucks, right?
Oh, it was with Robbie Barstool, right? It was Robbie from Barstool Sports. My mom's
fucking Robbie Fox.
Well, we're the only podcast that matters.
Yeah, the fact that they put this motherfucker in the alumni section so quickly, that they were so efficiently doing it within days of the fucking match happening, means it's a fucking work. They're not that proficient at this shit. They did that to push storyline. Otherwise, if Daniel Bryan was actually leaving, he would have showed up in that alumni section 6 months from now.
Yeah. Yeah, and you wouldn't be able to buy his merch still on the shop for full price. It'd all be half price.
Let's unload this shit.
Yeah, I think that they particularly wrote him off with the concerto so that he could be gone off of TV for a little while. And it was weird though, because it was like we were getting this enjoyable run of Daniel Bryan getting to work with in WWE, like his wish list, especially on SmackDown with all of the guys that he's worked with before, that he's had a chance to work with, the way that he got to put Cesaro over before he left, just everything he's done, working with, Roman one last time and putting Roman over before he goes away for a little while. I just still can't believe what a great guy this is about wrestling. Like he still just loves pro wrestling so much, and he's just doing it all. And he's become the biggest story. Him as a free agent is the biggest story in pro wrestling right now. There are so many people that are speculating on what it is. Much like Beek, I feel like it's an obvious work. That's the way I feel.
But it could go the other way at the same time. Like it easily could go the other way so easily. Easily
for 6 months.
However fucking redundant am I? Fucking
we talked about Cody earlier. For 6 months after Cody left, I felt like it was a work. The big rumor at the time was that Cody was going to go work the indies and try to get that like kind of cred with like the hardcore wrestling fan, and then come back to WWE. And that was not
he was doing a Pillman. He was doing a Brian Pillman storyline from when he took off from WCW. Oh, well, man.
I think that there was this thought process that Drew did that. But Drew really did that.
Yeah, right? They're going to do a work version of that.
A lot of people don't know that Drew, like they don't remember that Drew had like personal issues at one point, and that kind of got him in a hot water with the company. And then you just had the whole 3MB run that
dirty
is nostalgic. That Taryn Terrell. But then there's that whole 3MB run that a lot of people like have a good nostalgia feeling over, but it was a big time joke, and they were big time jobbers when they were doing that. And then he was like,
We'll see, one of the greatest matches of all time.
right?
It gave us that. We'll say that, right?
That's true.
We'll all agree on that, Neo.
But Drew did that. Drew went on the tour. He went and did all the big promotions. He won championships. He went overseas. He did all of that, and then he came back to WWE.
Grew a beard.
That edge, yeah. The
edge,
beard,
beard.
brought the sword. Yeah, he didn't bring Edge back. That came separately, but yeah, he brought a sword with an edge. Forget it. All right. Well, so I think we're kind of all over the place with Daniel Bryan, but I like that. I like being, I like speculating. I like honestly not knowing. It feels way too often, especially with Raw, for instance, that you kind of see where they're going with stuff 4 episodes ahead of time, and then they do that, and you're like, yeah, it's like what we said about the RK Bro storyline. It seems very apparent that this is going to lead to them hating each other and having a feud. Maybe it doesn't, though. I don't know. For now, I kind of enjoy how cute they are together.
It's funny because it all started with like, we hate each other. Wait a minute, maybe we don't. And then it's the end of, no, we did. We were right in the first place, you dirty bastard.
Yeah, wait till Randy Orton shows him how to shit in bags.
What do they do? A double turn?
Oh, yeah.
Randy goes super baby face. No, it doesn't work. Never mind.
Randy will never go super baby face.
It's flawed.
It's so weird to think about Randy going super baby face.
No kidding. I don't know what to believe. I didn't believe that Azteca Underground account was real, but lo and behold, it seems to be. So,
what did I say, Derek? What did I say?
He's coming back.
I just thought it was a Mexican restaurant.
There's several of those in the Phoenix area. I have a strong feeling that Kenny Omega is going to be their first champion. That's how I feel.
That was hilarious. You son of a bitch.
I really feel like Kenny Omega is going to be their first champion. Well, that's all I got, guys.
Well, Beaky Baby, did you I'm pretty sure you're a big fan of Lucha Underground, right?
I enjoyed the hell out of Lucha Underground.
All right, let me pull up some of these tweets here, and I'll just kind of give you a little rundown.
Man, I loved Lucha Underground so much, and
I'm just so skeptical because does it
See
mean that somebody owns, or is it actually Lucha Underground coming back?
It's MLW.
Look,
MLW is involved.
This happened today.
Dario was there?
He was there, dude.
Oh. I also saw Dario on other programs, so that doesn't really mean much to me. I saw
Dario.
No, he was on Punk'd one
it's
time.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
He was like a fucking. He was a limo driver.
Oh man!
Oh, that's pretty rad. So
I'm excited.
I mean, I've always thought Court was pretty smart. So yeah, he's doing something really cool.
That's exactly it. What
I like
you
this.
said
I like
was
this.
Right.
It's time for Cinco de Mayo and consequences.
Yeah, when I found out Court was involved.
Hey,
Court
MLW is free on
believe.
YouTube, boys. All right, so watch that shit.
As Neo said, an alternative. That's another thing that we did not have when we, as this podcast, were exclusively reviewing Raw and SmackDown. We didn't have options. I think right around, after we had been doing this podcast for a few years, after I had joined it, after it was going on for a while, eventually New Japan Pro Wrestling started doing their streaming service that was similar to the WWE network. And we got that. It just seemed like after that, everything blew up. Like we started getting all of these options and these abilities to watch all of this pro wrestling.
Would listeners follow us if we decided for a couple of weeks to, instead of watching or discussing Raw, we discussed MLW as a program? Maybe they would enjoy our adventure into something new.
Hey,
maybe
you know
that's
what?
Something we can put out there on Twitter and see what they think.
It's not a bad idea. Off episodes would be great.
Because honestly, if we are just hate podcasting, like if our podcast becomes just griping about the show, we could
dick punching
and punching ourselves in our
punching
fucking
ourselves
dicks.
in the dick. I feel like I feel like I'm mining for good things to find.
I definitely try, Derek.
Watching we've been really negative in the past. This podcast has gone through lots of ups and downs. The people that have stuck around for years have heard, a bunch of different voices. This cast changed. They've listened to my dumbass voice for way too long, I'm sure. I think that, it's definitely one of those things where I want to provide to everybody what they want. So if people want to start hearing about other promotions, let us know. Send us a email to podcast@thesteelcage.com. Send us tweets. Send a tweet to any one of us or to the Steel Cage account.
Josh, do we have any emails?
Josh, do we have any emails? You can get us all on Twitter, by the way. I'm at Cap_caveman with a K. Neo is at the Neo X with an ECKS at the end. And Uncle Beaky is at James Vanderbeek, and that's JAIMS Vanderbeek. But of course, like I said, all roads lead to at the Steel Cage. Before we get out of here, I want to do winners of the week, but I definitely want to encourage everybody to drop us a line and let us know what you think about, us covering MLW or something else. We try to get in AEW just for Neo so that he won't leave this podcast because he hates when we don't talk about AEW. And yes. NXT is definitely, I think, our middle ground where we all agree that we like NXT and watch it. I personally still think SmackDown is doing a great job. So, there's just lots of things to like out there, but there's also lots of options outside of WWE. Let's do winners of the week, shall we? With that being said, Neo, I'll kick it over to you.
Let's see.
You're making thinking noises.
Let's see. My winner of the week is going to be.
All right.
I'll say I'll give it up to Cody Rhodes. He came back. He fought QT Marshall in the ring. Why not? Cody Rhodes. He's got a girl in the way. I'm sympathetic towards that, and he's back wrestling. Why not? Let's give it up to Cody Rhodes. Plus, maybe he'll listen to this podcast and send that clear face card to the Cap over here.
It's never gonna happen. But I will say this. The one thing about Cody Rhodes that I want to see is some sort of advancement of his character. And what I mean is,
Marshall is doing that.
He has a weird hero complex. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that he can definitely be other stuff. I'm not talking about like Cody as a person. I'm talking about what he puts out there on TV as a character. Like, he's always got to kind of try to storm in with his, entrance that's wildly inappropriate for someone that's not a champion, and save the day.
His entrance music has entrance music, guys. I can never fail to point that out.
It's just wild to me. But yeah, I think that.
God damn you, Beaky baby.
Cody's definitely got like a good thing set up if they advance his character to go to a point where he's like problematic, and it's it's a storyline thing, where it's like problematic that he needs to kind of always rush in and try to save the day or something like that.
The thing is, like, if you watch the Road to Blood and Guts, there was the segment where QT Marshall went to a therapist and talked about, and the therapist was acting like a heel, so you had a little bit of sympathy towards QT. So I feel like if you really follow the story between QT and Cody can go either way. Cody could end up being the heel in the story, and then maybe do a double turn. Like, there could be a double turn at any point.
No,
the only problem with that is the way that QT and the group is winning matches.
Right,
that's the only problem with that.
But you kind of have a little bit of sympathy towards that because of what they've had to do to actually win.
Which
just like the Dark Order. Just like the Dark Order.
Which tunnel are they coming out of?
Oh, Derek.
Answer the goddamn question. Which tunnel are they coming out of? Left or right?
Maybe they lost their way while they're coming from backstage.
Left or right?
Derek's making a good call.
Yeah, they're coming out of the right.
They're not. That's the right.
The left. The left.
Stage right.
Stage left. Stage right. Stage left. Stage right.
Stage right even.
Beek, your winner of the week.
My winner of the week is going to go with a very, very bloody MJF, who, of course, ended his blood feud with Chris Jericho by throwing him off the top of the Blood and Guts cage onto some very, very deadly steel plating that looked dangerously painful and not at all a crash pad that looked very soft. But regardless, I thought it was awesome.
Did he do the bump or not? Did he do the bump or not?
Yeah. I just
No.
that's what all the internet was griping about how psyched it is. They're like, we want this guy to legitimately kill himself. And other people are like, well, if they're not going to be able to do it right where it looks good, don't do it. It's like,
that's what they wanted with the exploding barbed wire match, and I was like, "Hey, I'm here too, guys. Come on, let's worry about."
They did make it. They made it look like, hey, it's wrestling.
Yeah,
we can't murder people.
We can't murder people.
I can't wait to watch that
legitimately, MJF looked badass on top of the cage. There's some of the shots where he was on top of the cage, like standing there, where he's framed with the blood and guts on the monitor, and it looked pretty dope.
Good shot.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch that.
That's something going back to like
I gave you the
Underground.
finish.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, screwed that up.
There's a podcast about the wrestling show that just happened. Like, what the fuck are we even doing?
I know, but I had to go pick up my mom from her friend's house, and it coincided when the show happened.
Blew it. You blew it.
Hermano, lo siento.
Lo siento.
Lo siento.
I'm gonna give my winner of the week to Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns.
How many weeks is that running?
So many. Low many. Give me the whole thing. No, I think that again,
shaft, swallow the gravy.
It keeps coming up.
Derek is saying, "Acknowledge me."
Acknowledge me. I just want.
Is
I want him to unblock me on Twitter. Unblock me on Twitter.
You're blocked?
No, I'm joking.
Okay. No, are you actually blocked by Roman?
No, I'm not.
Okay, that'd be so rad. That'd be so rad. You trolled into a blocking.
I'm trying to think. Now that Kalisto's no longer on the roster, the only WWE wrestler I'm blocked by is Aaliyah from NXT.
Oh, that's mean.
I don't even know what I did. I never even tweeted about her. I can't find one tweet that I tweeted. Maybe I deleted it after
I got blocked by Rachel Ellery, and I've never tweeted. She had to see something else I said about somebody else.
Probably.
People, you're problematic, so I could see
I am not
blocking you.
Congratulations to Rachel Ellery, Impact Tag Team Champion.
Right. I want to really quickly get my reasons in for Roman Reigns.
Oh, indeed.
I think that once again, Roman Reigns has, a resume to build. And this was an important checkbox on the legendary heel, checklist. It was retiring somebody. He needed to do it. I thought it was going to be Edge. I thought it was going to be different guys at different times. And it was never Roman to do it. So I don't really know, what else he needs to do at this point. I think he's easily the best, thing in professional wrestling right now. But honorable mention to Daniel Bryan also for, losing and having a loss and what is perceived to be. Well, yeah, but not really, because he somehow turned losing into the biggest story of the week and to generating more buzz about him than people have had.
But he lost to your winner of the week, so he technically
lost. He's the and I'm asymptomatic.
Yeah, that's not even get back to that. You're walking around telling people you have COVID.
All right. Well, thank you guys again so much for listening to episode 441. I love this guy. I already told you guys where you can find us on Twitter.
I love them guys.
Email podcast@thesteelcage.com.
Derek, we have merchandise that people can buy.
We absolutely do, Beek. First of all, let's talk about Beek's store. It's at
Nah, man. Drop that. No, it's nowhere. It's just pentagonzo.com.
Pentagonzo.org.
I haven't put anything up there in a while. I need to make something.
But there's still plenty of beautiful options available. Also on our store, there's a couple of cool options. Maybe we need to merge stores. Maybe we move our t-shirts over to Beek store. I don't know what's happening. We need to, I think we need to find our own home because pro wrestling tees.
PWTs.
Well, there's a link.
Well, PWTs is very crowded, just like AEW right now. So maybe we just want to be somewhere else that doesn't sell Gildan shirts. Speaking of which, this is a beautiful shirt designed by our t-shirt designer Danny Schlag. This was designed for the Hawaiian Food Bank, and I just wanted to show that off because I purchased it, and I love Danny, and Danny does a great job designing everything he does. Danny is the infamous designer of the Kane and Daniel Bryan friendship shirt that the WWE stole and put on one of Daniel Bryan's like documentary things and acted like they came up with. But whatever, we're glad we got the shout out in our hearts, and that's all that mattered. But yeah, check out those t-shirt stores. Please buy something, support the show. We appreciate it. Check out Matt Mania. Check out their Patreon. There's a lot of great shows on the Steel Cage Network. I have a new dates that's been in the can for way too long that I need to get out. And me and Tim, literally, that trash can over there in the corner is filled with snacks. So we got lots of snacks to rate. Check out Unfunny Nerd Tangent. We recently did a show on
Godzilla.
I don't know. No, I was on it. It was Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
So, yeah, check that out.
Still haven't seen that movie.
It's quite a fun ride, I will say.
I enjoyed
it. Go in with lowered expectations, but remember
again,
that
I watch WWE Raw every week.
That's right. You punch yourself in the dick.
I can't watch Mortal Kombat because Raw consumes all my time.
Yeah.
I was just trying to let you know my opinion could be trash because I enjoy both of them.
You never know where the spectrum's all over the place.
Indeed.
But you know what? We appreciate you listening, and we appreciate you supporting the show. Thank you guys again so much for listening to episode 441. And remember, kids, did Daniel Bryan set the Pee Wee Leagues on fire with his passion and his great wrestling? Yes.